The grand celebration marking the union of Adam Reynolds and Leah Carter was a sight to behold. Held in the majestic Amber Hills estate, the event radiated elegance and opulence. Lush gardens adorned with cascading floral arrangements framed the scene, and lanterns hung delicately from the trees, casting a warm glow over the gathering. Guests, clad in their finest attire, sipped on sparkling champagne as soft music from a live quartet filled the air. The hum of laughter and cheerful conversations created an atmosphere of joy and togetherness. Adam, the 27-year-old groom, stood at the center of the festivities. In his tailored charcoal suit with a rose boutonniere, he exuded charisma and confidence. Friends and family surrounded him, showering him with compliments and good wishes, which he accepted with a gracious smile. Yet, beneath his polished exterior lurked a sense of entitlement, an unshakable belief that the world owed him deference and respect. As Adam mingled with the crowd, a vintage silver pocket watch hanging from his vest pocket caught his eye. The watch, an heirloom from his great-grandfather, had been engraved with his initials as a family tradition. Adam considered it not only a token of his lineage, but also a reflection of his standing. He often displayed it with pride, drawing attention to its history and value. As the cocktail hour began, Adam removed the watch while fixing his cufflinks and casually set it on a table near a dessert stand. His attention was briefly drawn away by a friend calling him over. Moments later, when he returned to retrieve it, the watch was nowhere to be found. Panic flashed across Adam's face as he frantically searched the table, moving aside glasses and napkins. "It was right here," he muttered under his breath, his frustration mounting. He motioned to his best man, Ethan, and explained the situation. "Are you positive you left it here?" Ethan asked, scanning the crowded area. "Yes, I'm sure," Adam snapped, his voice tinged with irritation. "Someone must have taken it." Adam's gaze swept across the room, eventually landing on a man he didn't recognize, Jonas Hill. Dressed impeccably in a deep navy suit, Jonas stood near a cluster of guests, chatting quietly while holding a glass of sparkling water. His poised demeanor and unfamiliar face sparked Adam's suspicion. "I don't know who he is," Adam said sharply to Ethan. "What's he even doing here? He doesn't look like he belongs." "Adam, let's not jump to conclusions," Ethan said, placing a hand on his friend's shoulder. "You could have misplaced it." But Adam's mind was already made up. Fueled by frustration and clouded judgment, he stormed across the room, his determined stride drawing the attention of nearby guests. By the time he reached Jonas, the once busy chatter had dwindled into hushed whispers. "You," Adam said loudly, pointing a finger at Jonas. The man turned, his expression calm yet curious. "Yes," Jonas replied evenly, meeting Adam's accusatory gaze. "Did you see a silver pocket watch on that table?" Adam demanded, gesturing toward the dessert stand. Jonas shook his head, his voice steady. "No, I didn't see anything like that." Adam's jaw tightened. "Are you sure? Because it's funny how it disappeared, and you're the only person here I don't recognize." Jonas raised an eyebrow, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face. "I'm certain I haven't touched your watch," he replied calmly. Adam stepped closer, his voice rising. "How do I know you're telling the truth? People like you think they can get away with anything?" A collective gasp rippled through the room at Adam's words. Jonas' calm demeanor wavered momentarily before he straightened his shoulders, his voice quieter but firm. "People like me?" he repeated. "What exactly do you mean by that?" Adam shrugged, his tone dismissive. "You don't fit in here, and you know it. Who even invited you?" Before Jonas could respond, Leah, the bride, appeared at Adam's side, her face flushed with embarrassment. "Adam, stop this," she hissed, tugging at his arm. "What are you doing?" Adam ignored her, his frustration spilling over. "Someone has to say it. He's out of place here, and now my watch is missing." Jonas, refusing to rise to the provocation, replied evenly. "I suggest you think carefully about what you're saying. You're making a mistake." "Adam," a commanding voice boomed across the room, silencing the murmurs. The crowd parted as Marcus Reynolds, Adam's father, approached. His presence was imposing, his tone laced with authority. "Enough!" "Dad, Adam began, but Marcus held up a hand, silencing him. Turning to Jonas, Marcus extended his hand apologetically. "Mr. Hill, please accept my deepest apologies for my son's behavior." Jonas hesitated before nodding, his voice calm. "Apology accepted, though it seems your son has some lessons to learn." Marcus' gaze hardened as he turned to Adam. "Do you have any idea who this man is?" Adam stammered, "No, but—" "This is Jonas Hill," Marcus said firmly, "a renowned architect whose generosity helped fund the restoration of this very estate. Without his contributions, we wouldn't be here celebrating today." Adam's face turned ashen as the gravity of his mistake hit him. His once confident posture slumped, and the guests watched in stunned silence. Leah's voice broke the tense pause. "Adam," she said softly, "you owe Jonas more than just an apology. This is bigger than a watch." Realizing the depth of his arrogance, Adam nodded, his words barely audible. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice trembling. The soft murmur of the crowd was silenced as Marcus Reynolds turned to address the gathering. His voice, though steady, carried a weight of emotion that demanded attention. "There's something many of you don't know," Marcus began, his gaze sweeping over the sea of curious faces. "Several years ago, our company, Reynolds Enterprises, was on the verge of collapse. We made bold decisions that didn't pan out, and no bank would lend us a lifeline. I was ashamed, convinced I had failed my family and everyone who depended on us." The guests leaned in closer, their curiosity piqued by Marcus' candor. He gestured toward Jonas Hill, who stood silently among the crowd, his posture steady and composed. "And then I met Jonas Hill, a man I barely knew, yet he believed in me, in my vision. When no one else would, he extended a helping hand and loaned me the funds that saved us. Without his generosity and faith, I wouldn't have been able to rebuild. Everything we have today, this celebration, this life, is in part thanks to him." A ripple of astonished murmurs passed through the guests. Many looked toward Jonas with newfound admiration, while Adam stood frozen, the reality of his actions beginning to sink in. Leah, standing beside him, glanced between her husband and Jonas, her respect for the latter growing with each word Marcus spoke. "Dad," Adam muttered weakly, his voice barely audible. "I didn't know." "And that's the problem, Adam," Marcus said sharply, his disappointment evident. "You didn't know, but you assumed. You accused a man, a guest, no less, of theft without a shred of evidence. Worse still, you let your own biases dictate your actions. That isn't just wrong, Adam. It's shameful." Adam looked down, unable to meet his father's piercing gaze. The room remained heavy with silence as Marcus continued, his voice firm. "Let me make this clear. This isn't just about the watch. This is about how you treated a man whose only mistake was being someone you didn't understand. You let arrogance and ignorance guide you, and I thought I raised you better than that." Jonas, who had remained silent through Marcus' speech, finally stepped forward. His voice, calm and steady, cut through the tension like a blade. "Mr. Reynolds," he said, addressing Marcus, "I appreciate your words, but I believe Adam needs to hear this from me." Marcus nodded and stepped aside, his respect for Jonas apparent. All eyes turned to Jonas, whose quiet dignity commanded the room. He locked eyes with Adam, his presence towering not in stature, but in moral authority. "Adam," Jonas began, his tone steady yet firm, "I understand that losing something precious can make anyone upset. But the way you chose to handle it tonight wasn't just inappropriate. It was offensive. You didn't know me, yet you felt entitled to question my character and humiliate me in front of everyone here." Adam flinched, his face pale with shame, but Jonas didn't relent. "You allowed your own biases to cloud your judgment. You assumed the worst, not because of anything I said or did, but because of what I looked like. Do you understand the weight of what you've done?" I do," Adam stammered, his voice shaking. "This isn't just about the watch," Jonas continued, his gaze unwavering. "It's about who you are as a person and how you choose to treat others. What happened tonight says more about your character than it does about me." Adam nodded, his throat dry. He finally found the courage to speak, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Hill. I didn't think. I didn't realize. Jonas raised a hand, silencing him. Words are a start, Adam, but actions matter far more. If you truly mean it, then prove it, not just to me, but to everyone you meet from this day forward. Let tonight be a lesson, not a defining moment. Adam nodded solemnly, his shame giving way to a determination to make amends. I promise you, he said earnestly, I'll do everything I can to change. Jonas studied him for a moment before extending his hand. Then let this be your first step, he said, his grip firm. Remember, growth is never easy, but it's always worth it. The room seemed to exhale as the tension dissipated. Applause broke out among the guests, a sign of support and relief. Marcus clapped Adam on the back, his expression a mixture of sternness and pride. Now you've got work to do, Marcus said quietly. Don't let us down. In the weeks following the incident, Adam dedicated himself to becoming a better man. He sought out education on diversity and inclusivity, attended workshops, and began volunteering with organizations supporting underrepresented communities. His transformation didn't happen overnight, but his sincerity and effort became evident to those around him. Adam also made a point to build a relationship with Jonas, often seeking his guidance and mentorship. Jonas, while firm in his expectations, encouraged Adam's growth and acknowledged his progress with quiet approval. Years later, at another family celebration, Marcus raised a glass to Jonas. To Jonas Hill, he said, his voice filled with gratitude, a man whose generosity saved our family and whose wisdom helped shape my son into the man he is today. The guests raised their glasses in unison. Jonas and Adam exchanged a brief, knowing glance. Their journey, though born of conflict, had become a powerful story of redemption, growth, and the strength it takes to rise above one's flaws. The story of Adam Reynolds and Jonas Hill serves as a testament to the transformative power of humility, accountability, and growth. What began as a moment of prejudice and misunderstanding evolved into a journey of redemption that reshaped Adam's life and inspired those around him. Through Jonas' dignity and grace, Adam was forced to confront his biases and take responsibility for his actions. His journey was not without struggle. Learning to unlearn deep-seated beliefs required courage, introspection, and a commitment to change. In time, Adam became a symbol of personal growth, proving that with effort and sincerity, anyone can overcome their past and become a better person. His work within the community and his growing friendship with Jonas demonstrated the impact of genuine effort to bridge divides and foster understanding. For Jonas, the experience reaffirmed the importance of standing firm against prejudice while extending a hand to those willing to change.